I'm just sharing my thoughts with you right now. I saw this and I looked at, many of you know that I'm of course you know I'm an apostle and all that, but many of you know that I've ministered deliverance. And what I'm noticing is the need for deliverance is extremely high. There's never a time where deliverance doesn't come across my mind spiritually, where people need deliverance from things that are hindering them. And I thought about something. I saw some ministry about the Bible, just the Bible alone. And the Bible has a way of making its own arguments for itself. Now I have the Bible on a tablet. I have the Bible on everything that I got. Computers and tablets and phone and all of that. But I looked at something on here that's very unique. How many of you know what that says? Holy Bible. You know, I thought about that. I said, you know what? I'm noticing that when people are taking electronic devices and using them for their Bible, that the device is not holy. Because this contains no other content than the Word of God. We might need to go back to the Bible when it comes to our study time, because the device that you hold your Bible in is not holy. It covers your ego. It covers your arrogance. It's a source of your distractions. It's the open door for all demonic spirits. It's actually a portal. The device that you have the Bible on is not holy. My computer, my iPad, none of that stuff is holy. This, on the other hand, only has the scriptures in it. Because sometimes we could be feeding from mixture, and that's why we manifest mixture. Because your emails ain't holy. And your text messages and your Facebook, your messages and your mentions and all those different things. So I'm just sharing my mind with you. Sometimes in order to enter into the presence of God, sometimes you need to clear out and clean out the place that you're seeking God from, and remove the things that may come in and contaminate even your time in the presence of God. Sometimes things just get in the way. To some, it may not mean something, but I desire a life that's holy. I desire a life that's clean. If I add mixture into my time with the Lord, then that means that there's something contaminated in me. Is that something? Didn't he say to let the meditation of your heart be acceptable before the Lord? I say, I wonder why this just right. This contains the label holy on it and Bible. Because he says the reason why you struggling in your comprehension and understanding God is because the source that you're pulling from is confused already. It don't know if it want to be a source of lust or a lie or your ego and vanity. I just thought about that. Y'all be thinking about stuff like that? We do not. I'm telling you. Deuteronomy 7:6.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God had chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
For a holy God to choose you, that ought to be an indicator that he wants you to be holy. He said he made man in his own image. So when he saw you and chose you, he chose you for holiness. Say holiness. Holiness. He said, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. What else?
Thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
A special people unto who?
Himself.
That means that God don't want nothing having you but him.
Amen.
You know, it's a war. There's a war just for you. especially in the marketing world. It's always somebody in the marketing world that's hoping that you don't know who you are so they can sell you pieces of who you are. If you don't know who you are, or you don't know your identity, if you have a spirit of insecurity and inferiority, there's always somebody who will sell you self-esteem. They'll sell you security. It's because I have this or because I have that. It's just a man-pleasing spirit looking for validation. So somebody can always sell me stuff in order to cause me to think that they think that I'm acceptable. A lot of people today are very insecure, and it's because they don't realize that God chose them and God created them.
Yeah, I agree.
God is always warring. Part of the reason why we need to be saved is we need to be saved from ourselves. We need to be saved from lack of identity, from self-identity, from self-idolization. We idolize ourselves.
Yeah.
So we need deliverance from those areas. He said, the
For
Lord thy God has chosen thee to be what?
a special people unto himself.
Unto himself. That means apart from him, you ain't special.
Amen.
It just means that you just more easily manipulated and used by the world. Amen. You know, it's amazing when you look at these stories of these celebrity stories. Every time you look at one of those stories, or you look at these people who come to the height of fame, the height of celebrity, when you unpack the rest of their life, when you look at the backstory, or you look at their life behind the camera, you see that sometimes they worse off than you are. You know, one of the biggest liars in the earth is the camera.
I agree.
Yeah, the camera help you tell a big old lie. I remember I went to this church. I'm talking about world-renowned church. Man, the way that the camera was, I said, man, I can't wait to get to that church. I went to that church, man. That church was small. I was like, they used a whole bunch of camera chicks. I can't believe that it's not as big as I thought it was. People modify their worship because the camera is turned on. They give their best when that camera come on.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if you don't watch it, you learn how to act right and not be right.
Yeah.
Because people today, if you don't have wisdom, people live their life based upon the highlights of other people. You see them at one glimpse, you see them at one moment, and then it creates something in you that causes you to adjust your life. Matter of fact, it causes you to discount what God has already placed on the inside of you. You say, "Now, I got the Holy Spirit, but I need something else. There's something lacking. The Holy Spirit is not enough. I got the Word of God, but the Word ain't enough. Look at how they live it." But it's just because it's a highlight. It doesn't testify of the whole life. Amen? He said you're a special people unto himself. That means that God chose you, selected you. He even preferred you. Above what?
Above, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. That breaks a lot of people's religious thinking where God is concerned. Because God can choose somebody over another. Doesn't mean that God doesn't love the whole world. No, I mean, God still loved the whole world, but he loved the world with a condition. He said, if you believe on him, he said he gave his only begotten son, and whosoever believes on him shall not perish. So if you don't believe on him, where's your love relationship with God? He said that believes on him. You got to believe. In order to enter into his love, you have to begin to believe. Because unbelief where God is concerned says that, God, I don't believe that you even exist. How arrogant is it for a man to not believe God as if God doesn't exist? Unbelief where God is concerned, it just says that God does not exist. Does that make sense? Go ahead.
The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor chose you because you were more in number than any people.
Go ahead.
For you were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out of with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Yeah. He said, because he loved you and because he would keep the oath to people that weren't even in your generation. You know, I used to, at first I used to envy, but then I actually kind of got upset with people who were raised in church. They were raised by a parent who went to church all the time. And you ever heard the concept of preacher's kid? And you know, they be out there cutting up in the streets. I used to get offended by that. I say, how is it that your parents raised you in the church and you out here trying to live a street life like I'm living? I wasn't raised in the church. I didn't have the privilege of being raised on the church pew and sleeping on the seats and being around prayer and worship and like the little ones do. Like I seen your daughter today. I called her today. She was on your grandbaby. Excuse me. I called her though. Just around the house of God, worshiping freely, doing the flags and all of that. I didn't have that. I didn't have the praying grandmother. I didn't have the praying grandmother and all that. What I had was a rough life. I was a latchkey kid. So I was just raised. I pretty much spent most of my days raising myself. It caused me to really have a high level of disrespect for people who was raised in the church, but did not know the privilege of being raised in an environment like this. It bothered me. I said, man, how is it that you can be raised in that environment and then you prefer something that's less than this environment? You prefer the hurt. Nobody who is really in any form of true poverty wants to be in that state. Nobody who is being raised without their father would envy somebody or would want to replace somebody who's being raised with their father, wouldn't want to replace not being raised with their father. Not knowing what prayer is until you're 23 years old. That's what I experienced. I didn't know what it was for somebody, you know, they say, grab the hand of the person next to you, pray for them. I didn't have any of that in my life. Matter of fact, had people not understood the true spirit of intercession, and when intercession prays for people who are not saved, who don't have any Christian attributes, I believe that I would have spent my life forever lost. Somebody had to reach out for somebody who didn't have anything about them that was worthy of being saved. Just totally lost. I said, man, it bothered me. It bothered me how young people just disrespect this environment and follow somebody who doesn't have it only to follow a lie. He said, because the Lord your God loved you and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn to your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand. The reason why you're at the verge of destruction, but you're never totally destroyed is because somebody in your bloodline, somebody in your lineage gave their life to God. And God said, I'll hold the promise that I made to them for the next generation. That's something wonderful. That's wonderful. That's wonderful about God. To not understand that and to misuse the privilege of that is very bad. So we want to talk about ordinary people, extraordinary power. God uses ordinary people. He uses people with no special distinctive features, people that are normal, and he sets out to manifest himself mightily in an extraordinary way with ordinary people. I can tell you I was not born a prophet. I was converted. Something about the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. I had no aims nor ambitions to be an apostle. I ain't wake up the one morning and say, man, I got to be an apostle. That's the thing for me. No, never happened. What happened was I heard the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, and the Lord planted something special on the inside of me. He placed in me a desire to help. When I first heard the good news of the Lord Jesus Christ, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, when I first heard that somebody became sin for me, he that knew no sin became sin for me, that I might be the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. When I heard that if I had to stand before a judge with the sins that I committed, then I would be guilty. I would be deserving of hell. But somebody who never sinned before stood up in my place, who had never sinned, and said, I'll take his punishment. You give him my reward. My God. That converted me, changed my mind, changed my gang-banging mind, and caused me to say, you know what? If he's willing to do that for me, then it's worth me giving him my whole life. And I started out just wanting to help. So I find areas in the church where I was at. It was amazing. I didn't have any criticisms for the church that I came to. I was not so spiritually arrogant to try to find fault in the place where I was sent to when I heard this good news, this good message. What happened was I heard the message, and I said, if they'll let me do something, I'll do it. Matter of fact, I just looked for opportunities to find things that needed to be done. And I just waited, just the innocence of it, to say, man, I wonder if they'll let me do that. I was not skeptical. I was not I didn't have a spirit of criticism. I said, boy, it would be a privilege if they let me fix that. The little rug at the door is dirty. I know I'm not worthy. I know I'm not worth it. I know I probably shouldn't even be here. But can I sweep off that rug? Just the humility. Can I park that car? Can I do something? I can just see things around the ministry because I heard the good news. You got to watch people who are not converted through the gospel because they manifest their conversion, the source of their conversion, in their service unto God. Yeah. When you did not come in the right way, Jesus said, he said, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. I am the door. Any man who comes in any other way is a thief and a robber. You can see it in their spirit. If they didn't come in through the gospel, if they came in through arrogance, if they came in through ego, if they came in through pride, they'll see the problem, criticize the problem, and let the failure exist. You telling the truth. But I was just ordinary. Wasn't nothing about me. I just heard the good news, Mama. And something about the good news going into my ear did something in my heart and in my mind. It was like bing, 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 bing. It was like a pinball game. It was like a ping pong game, a pinball game. And it just kept resonating in my soul. Man, if I could just help. If I could just help. Remember the first time somebody came to me about even doing something where a spiritual office was concerned, with being a deacon. First thing, I'm sitting around there just helping out, parking cars. I'm just so happy. I'm so happy and carefree because I can help in the church. Yeah, that's the truth. And so as I was helping out, people who were over me, say over me. Over me. Yeah, because some of y'all think ain't nobody over you. These folks was over me. Exactly. They had more experience with Jesus than I did. They knew things about him that I didn't know. So I never esteemed them low. I never esteemed them at my level. So they came to me. They said, the Lord been dealing with us about making you a deacon. I didn't even understand everything about a deacon. But I said this. I said, if it'll help some people, I'll do it. So because the foundation of helps was rooted in me, I walked into my first ordination, which was being a deacon. They say, oh, deacon, and what the deacon do? The deacon just come in the church, help, serve, assist the leadership and the people in the furtherance of the ministry. I said, well, if that's the case, I'll do it with no sense of failure.
Yeah.
As long as there's something in it. I never disqualify myself or beat myself up. I just said, if it got something to do with people, I know I can help people. I know I can help somebody. So moving on, same thing. Minister came to me and said, you know, the Lord been dealing with me about making you a minister. I said, a minister? You mean like preaching and stuff? They said, yeah. I said, well, if it'll help people. So I was ordained. While people was fighting, he won't let me preach. Well, they was arguing about, well, he ain't ready, he ain't this, he ain't that. The church ain't this. The church, they not prophesying enough. They not laying enough hands. I just stayed hidden in helps.
You're telling the truth.
I was emerging in the spirit. I seen myself. I never cut people off, cut people off like that. Never was, well, I'm at a level that you ain't at. Just helping. Just helping people. We'll make you a minister. The Lord said, making you a minister. See, what I knew because I was studying the scriptures is that sometimes God, see, you can tell the people who have authority in your life because they are sent to you.
Yeah.
These men were sent to me.
Yeah.
They were sent and they showed up with oil. You never make the mistake of standing with a proclamation or declaration that was made over your life by a person who does not put oil behind their declaration.
Come on and teach.
If they don't put oil behind it, then all they're doing is pacifying you. They don't really trust it. They don't really believe it, or it's something in your character that has yet to been developed that is withholding the oil. Because the oil is the seal.
Yeah.
They told me, it wasn't hard to ordain me in anything because it was the character that I walked in and said, this person is ready. I was demonstrating being ready before I went to any type of Bible college or course. I never went to Bible college, but any of the classes in my church attendance. My church attendance was solely based upon the fact that I needed to learn about God.
Teach the people. My God.
So that I can help people.
Yeah, man.
Remember they had a women's conference. They say, all right, we having a women's conference with no men. I said, well, man, I got my mother, I got my sisters, I got all different type of women. I got nieces, I got all these different women, but they won't let no men in the women's conference. So I said, you know what? This help thing have opened doors for me, so I just volunteered to help. I was sitting there waiting, had the little thing over there waiting the tables, but I was listening to the minister as I was in and out the door.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I said, as long as I can help people, you'd be amazed now the impartations, wisdom, and revelation that God has in my life for women has come from me exposing myself to ministry to help women. He just used me that way. The ordination went from deacon to minister to pastor. My pastor, he said, you marrying and burying people? I was like, yeah. He like, you ain't ordained? I was like, well, no, but people just keep calling me to do this stuff. So because I was ignorant and did not know that there is an order to things, I was being compelled into things that I did not have order in. So when my pastor saw me walking and functioning in it, he said, you know what? We need to ordain you. I was just fine being Minister DaVaughn. I was just fine being Deacon DaVaughn. There was never a time in my life where I said, I need to go to the next level.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have level-based thinking.
Yeah.
Because I had found Christ, so I already had my answer.
Exactly.
I already had everything. As long as I got Christ, I got it. You call me whatever you want to call me.
Exactly.
But as long as I got him, I'm good. Because I realized that as long as I had him, whatever was needed, I was equipped for.
You can believe that.
If there was a need for healing, I ain't have to say, man, I'm the healing man. Where the healers need? And then somebody say, well, I need some wisdom. I say, I don't do wisdom, but I got healing. I didn't think like that. He just allowed me to engage in all the fruits of the Spirit, all of the ministries, and to just keep helps as my foundation. He said, don't be a part of nothing that don't help people. So I went from deacon to minister to pastor to apostle. Same thing. Will it help the people? Received, hands being laid on, other apostles, confirmation in the Spirit of a gift. Say, how did I get that? I never felt like, oh, I was just born. You know how you do that? I was just born to be one. For me, something about this gospel has opened a wide open door for me that whatever God constitutes as usefulness in my life, that's what he'll make me. Yeah. And I never fought with it. I never wrestled against it. Exactly. I never fought with another leader for it. I never said, he don't know what he talking about, because look what I got. I just look for permission and an opportunity to help. I never saw fit to criticize my leaders because they would not allow me to do a certain thing. That's why I'm here. That's why I carry apostle. I don't carry it because I'm any better than anybody in the body of Christ. I carry it because the usefulness of my office and the authority that comes with it is what God has for me to do in the earth. Yeah, that's true. When the prophetic dimension began to open up and God started showing things in the prophetic and the dynamic of the prophetic, because I was not wrestling against it, God used me as an overseer over prophets. That's true. I can function in prophets, but I do not engage the depths of the prophetic to the degree that a person who was born a prophet does. But I don't hinder it either. Because sometimes people can be gifted and the character not be in order. So he needed somebody who understood character to place prophetic gifts under, and who did not have a problem with them walking in their gift. Exactly. Because a lot of gifts get shut down because the leaders don't understand it. Because it's not their capacity. Does that make sense? Yeah. So he chose us a special people. Say a special people. It was by him choosing us that made us special. It was not because we are in and of ourselves anything that's so great. Turn with me in your Bibles to Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2. Give me Daniel 1. I love this because 1 and 4. We're gonna skip through a couple scriptures here to help give you some understanding and some context for where we're going. Let's go with the King James. King James. This talks about Daniel and the Hebrew boys. These were 3 children who were taken in captivity. I love the fact that that's the premise for this, because it ministers to every young person who may come up under something dysfunctional. All dysfunction is a form of captivity. But dysfunction does not mean that you can't walk in excellence. Dysfunction is not a limiter where God is concerned. These young boys came up, they're slaves, and they're in the king's palace, and they're being chosen by the king to be under the king, to be taught by the king. I want you to look at this. What does it say? Daniel chapter 2, verse 4.
You said 1.
1:4, excuse me.
Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom.
He said that these children were skillful in all wisdom and cunning in what?
In knowledge. And understanding science.
Whoa, don't say that in the church. They understood science. That means that you don't have to be so religious that you're afraid of science. The only problem with science is when you worship science, when you use science as a belief system. Everything has a form of science to it because this is how things work. Revelation is in the spirit. God gives revelation to men. When they receive revelation, they're able to make things. The workings of how it is made is science. Somebody had to come out. Somebody had to before they used to cut hair. They had all kind of devices that they cut by. One that they used. Then one day they invented the clippers. And by the science of the clipper, you can continually upgrade and modify that one thing. It came from revelation. There never was one. There was just an ideal spiritually of that thing. The car never was. It was horse and buggy. But then somebody got a revelation. Somebody got an idea of a car. They created a combustion engine. And by that combustion engine, they're able to propel a thing forward. It came by revelation. But in order to use it over and over again, science comes into play. Never let a religious believer turn you against science. Because if you don't, if you turn against what science is, you get outside of the manufacturing and making of things. Amen? This is Daniel and them. He said they understood what?
Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning and knowledge and understanding science.
And understanding science. They understood how things worked.
And such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace. And
hold on. They had ability to stand in the king's palace. What does that mean? Does that mean they just have ability, their legs work? No, they had ability to understand the operation of the king's palace and how to operate in the king's palace. In this is revelation for us because sometimes we don't know how to stand in God's presence.
That's true.
Whenever you're in the presence of a king, the king gets your undivided attention.
Amen.
Whenever we are distracted in the presence of a king, whenever we're distracted in the presence of God, it just says that we don't know how to stand in his presence. We don't know how to operate and function in his presence. Matter of fact, we fight against the shift of God, the move of God. Because we say, well, God is predictable. But you don't want to serve a predictable God. You want to serve a God who is always moving and showing himself strong in your life. Amen? Religion will cause you to look at God as predictable. Amen? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Daniel 1 verse 4 still. And such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning of the tongue of the Chaldeans.
So they were able to teach language.
Jesus.
They were able to teach how to talk.
Come on.
They were able to give you, they were able to give you a simplification of expression in order for you to communicate.
That's good.
You have to have that. Because in the spirit, it's a different language. The spirit is not limited by human language. The word hallelujah is the highest form of praise in the English language or in Hebrew or in the other languages. But that's just where human language runs out. The cry of God, the groan of God, the utterances of God go beyond just what you can read in the regular alphabet and dictionary. Amen? So Daniel and them had understanding of this. Jump down to 1 and 17. We're going somewhere with this.
As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning.
He gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. What is knowledge and skill in all learning? Knowledge and skill in all learning is this. They had a teachable spirit. My God, if you want to ask God for something, if you want to prosper and excel, ask God, Father, give me a teachable spirit. I remember one of the things the Lord gave me wisdom on when I was looking for jobs. He gave me 2 things. He said, don't lie about your past. Don't lie that you got a felony. He said, but put this on the application. First, put on there, you're not planning on reliving your past.
Amen.
They would say, have you ever been convicted of a felony? I check the box. And then they say, give a description. I say, I'm not planning on reliving my past. Then he said, what about special skills? What's special about you? What kind of special skills that you have? I put on there, I can learn anything if I'm taught correctly.
Amen.
Boy, them people were looking at that up, they said, we got to call him. I said, that was Holy Ghost. Because sometimes you need to ask God, Father, make me teachable.
Yeah, I agree.
Where I can learn anything. You know, if you're just teachable, don't you know that everything from molecular biology to brain science to radiology, whatever it is just another language in learning. Why do we wrestle with learning? We wrestle with learning because we're resisting the teaching associated with it. That's why older people are better students than younger people. Because sometimes you got to get old to realize that rebellion is actually fighting against you.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you just submit to the learning with a meek and teachable spirit, you can learn anything. I said I could be a brain surgeon. No, I'm serious. Why? Because I can learn anything. You know how, if you know how to do it and you can teach me right, I can learn how to be a brain surgeon. I could be an expert mechanic. All I need is somebody to teach me. I have a teachable spirit. Let's just stop right now. Ask the Father, Father, give me a teachable spirit. Let's just ask him for it now. Father, give me a teachable spirit. Yeah, Father, give me a teachable spirit, Father. How hard is it to walk holy when you got a teachable spirit? How hard is it to walk perfect and upright before God when you have a teachable spirit? You know why people can't do it? Because it's not a teachable spirit in them.
Yep.
The word telling them, but they resist the teaching. Look, he said all wisdom. Daniel had understanding in what?
And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams.
He had understanding in all visions and dreams because he was teachable. Daniel was ordinary. Daniel was an ordinary person who manifested extraordinary power. See, we trying to get in everybody prophetic course, everybody dream and vision course. We're trying to get in everything that we can.
Teach the people.
But if you just go in with a teachable spirit, God will begin to expound unto you the necessary revelation to tap into his presence. Because he doesn't withhold from you.
Yeah.
Drop down to 2.
Verse 1.
Yeah, it said in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith his spirit was troubled and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians, astrologers, and sorcerers and Chaldeans for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. The king said, I dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king of Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell the servant the dream, and we will show the interpretation. Verse 5.
The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me.
So now we got a problem. Because the king wanted interpretation of a dream. And he don't even know what the dream is. That's challenging. Everybody else who worked their devices could not get the interpretation for the king's dream. The king is so frustrated with this dream. He said, if nobody tells me what it is, I'm going to start killing people. You got some power? Well, you better use it. Because if not, I'm going to start killing jokers.
Hey.
I mean, this says that I got to get into something extraordinary because this ordinary ain't going to get me by on this one. You can be the super, you can be the super, you can have Christian garb, you can have Jesus Christ is Lord across your neck. But sometimes you need real power.
And there it is, not the fake.
Religion will allow you to be mediocre.
Yes.
In order to keep you in church.
Yep.
But when you need real power, you got to go over into the extraordinary. You have to become acquainted with it because sometimes we only use We only use the extraordinary for crisis. And the extraordinary is actually a place that we're supposed to exist on a constant level. Your engagement with the supernatural should be more constant than it is every once in a while. Crisis should not be the only motivation to get you into the supernatural. Something does not have to be lost or taken from you in order for you to engage the supernatural. So he said what? The king said, I need to know the dream. The dream is gone from me. So y'all figure it out.
If you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces.
It's like, man, you already gonna kill me, but cut me into pieces. What is that gonna do? You gotta cut me in pieces too?
Well,
Listen, you know what's amazing about this? This is a wicked king that's more a believer than the person who call himself a believer.
you saying some stuff right there.
He say, I'm willing. He said, if what you say you have, you don't have, he said, I'm gonna put your life on the line.
Yep.
For you to sit here and play around and call yourself something that you don't have power for you to sit here and say, I'm a prophet, but you don't never open your mouth. See, what happens when it becomes a matter of life and death? It's because today's church is not facing life and immediate death. We're still facing spiritual death, but we're not facing immediate death. When you understand that you are facing something that you can lose your life about, it causes you to become more focused on what you're really supposed to be doing and who you are in this earth. Hello. Watch. Go ahead.
My God. Verse 6. But if you show the dream and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive.
If you make good on who you say you are.
Well, Jesus.
If you just be who you are. If you really a prophet, then be a prophet. Exactly. If you really apostle, be apostle. Exactly. If you really a pastor, then pastor. If you really a deacon, then deacon. But don't say you won. Yeah. And don't demonstrate it. All right? Go ahead.
But if you show the dream and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore, show me the dream and the interpretation of it. And they answered again and said, let the king tell his servants the dream, and he will show the interpretation of it.
See, here's why we prophesy and we minister to people who don't have power to take something from us. Because we don't trust the gift. When you don't trust the gift, you minister to people where it's safe. It's kind of like evangelizing to a bunch of Christians. What's the use of an evangelist in a room full of believers to begin with? Because it's safe. But when you start getting out there where your life is on the line, where people who don't like you and can take something from you, and you get a prophetic unction that rise up and they can take something from you, it show you where we really are in the spirit. He said, they answered, verse 7 again, and said, let the king tell the servants a dream. He said, just tell us the dream. Tell us the dream. We'll give you the interpretation. Verse 8, the king answered and said, I know of certainty that you will gain the time because you see the thing is gone from me. But if you will not make it known unto me the dream, there's but one decree for you. He said, for you have prepared what?
Lying and corrupt words to speak before me.
That's why God won't give me the dream, because he know you'll lie your way through the interpretation.
Teach the people.
This happened in Israel with Ahab. They 850 prophets with Ahab and Jezebel, and they began to prophesy in the king's favor. Because sometimes believers are hooked on favor.
Yeah.
I just need somebody else to tell me it's going to work out for me. Now, see, when you really tapped into the heart of God, the goodness of God leads to repentance.
That's the truth.
If you don't stop that, that's why it's easy to mass market personal prophecy in the realm of favor.
Yeah.
Because if you have to correct somebody and tell them God knows your secrets and your secrets are killing you, God requires your life of you. The wages of your sin is death. You can't start no TV global ministry with that. Amen. He said, you prepared lying words for me. You prepared something for me that was going to cater to my flesh and pacify me. He said, I cannot deal in anything ordinary because the burden of the dream is so powerful that I have to get the interpretation even though I don't know what the dream is. That's spirit. What does it say?
The Chaldeans, verse 10, answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other than can show it before the king, except the gods whose dwelling is not with flesh.
Even they got sense enough to say this is a God-sized problem. We don't have no answers. Verse 14.
Drop down to 14.
14.
Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. And he answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel.
Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, that he would show the king the interpretation. Daniel went into his house, made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions. Okay, here we go. To tap into the extraordinary. Let me put this in context for you. This king got a dream. He does not know what the dream is, but he has to have the interpretation. He said, everybody's spiritual. If you don't have it, I'm going to start killing people. Daniel hears about it and says, it's going to mess you up. Give me a minute so I can seek my God about it, and I'll give you the interpretation. Here's what Daniel does. Daniel, looking for the interpretation, does not go into his prayer closet. See, this is how you catch a witch in a house. This is how you catch a spirit of division. This is how you catch a wanderer. This is how you catch a demonic spirit manifesting in a house. He didn't go to his prayer closet like a lot of us been trained to by the movie. What did he do?
It says, verse 18, they would desire mercies of God of heaven concerning the secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon.
Daniel, verse 17.
Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions.
Daniel, before he sought the Lord, he went to his friends. The way that you treat one another can sometimes be the determining factor on whether or not you get victory in the spirit.
Good God Almighty.
How you keep your relationships in the bond of unity in the body of Christ determines whether or not you can see in the spirit.
My God in heaven.
Because the dream was hidden, Daniel had revelation to say, I need to let my partners know what's going on in this situation. He did not go into his prayer closet. He did not isolate himself. What he did was he let the matter be known. There's a king who is looking for interpretation for a dream that he doesn't even know what the dream is, and I need to let y'all know what's happening. Oh, why is it important? Because you live in a self-centered, isolated culture that is designed to cause you to get by yourself and figure it out on your own. And the one who had interpretation and understanding in dreams and visions said, let me connect to somebody so I can know, so you can know what I'm going in his presence for. Oh, look at it.
Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions. And they would desire mercies of the God of heaven.
He said that they would desire, I need you to seek God together with me for this hard issue. I need you to help me with this. What is the purpose for the church? The purpose for the church in the coming together of the body is agreement. There are things, listen, there are things that are kept back from the seer. They are kept from spiritual eyes being opened because of lack in the relationships in the prophetic. That is why there is an attack in the prophetic where relationships are concerned. Oh my God. Okay. Watch. Then was a secret, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, his companion, that he's asking them what?
That they would desire mercies of the God.
I need you to desire together. I need you to desire. I need you to desire. I need you to desire. What?
Mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret. That Daniel and his fellows should not perish with and his fellows. He done added them. Should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon.
He said this revelation is connected to all of us.
Hey! I caught it. My God.
Why can't we as a ministry break 200? Because the revelation of it is not singularly to one person.
Teach the people.
Hello. What? The Lord saying that the threshold is 100, 200. Why can't we break through the threshold? Because the attack that has been existing among you has been relational.
Yes.
Because it is hindering the prophetic. Nobody can speak to it.
Go.
Look at it. He said that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret.
That Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision.
Because
Hey.
Because Daniel partnered the understanding with his friends, then he received a night vision. How many of us see, God, I need a vision, and then everything that he got around you, around this great vision you're looking for is relational. How you treat people, how you deal with people, how you interact with people, how God give you all of these challenges and all of these things to overcome in your relationship. Matter of fact, relationships are the component that shuts down the prophetic and not the devil. The devil is not stronger than the prophetic component that works in your life.
That is correct.
But why is most prophets having relational problems? Because it's an attack against the gift.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. Then the secret was revealed in night vision. Then what?
Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Well,
Daniel blessed the God of heaven.
And Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth things and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge.
He gives what to the wise?
Wisdom unto the wise.
He said, if you operate in a little bit of wisdom, I'll give you more. And he gives what?
And knowledge to them that know understanding.
He said he gives knowledge to them that know understanding.
And
wait a minute. He gives knowledge to them that know understanding. What is he saying? Knowledge to them that know understanding works like this. He's saying that if you know how understanding works, then he gives you knowledge. Let me give you a simple one. Build yourself up upon your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Ghost. When you feel tore down, what are you supposed to do?
Pray in the Holy Ghost.
No, you go run and tell your friends.
Pray in the Holy Ghost.
No, you go run to the bottle. You go run to some fleshly device because you don't feel good about it. You beat up on yourself.
Pray in the Holy Ghost.
You pray in the Holy Ghost. Knowledge to them that know understanding is people who understand how it works and knows how to apply knowledge in situations wherever they may be. What happens when your mind is being barraged with thoughts that are negative? You cast down every thought and imagination that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. What was Daniel demonstrating prior to this grand revelation that was going to set people free? He was operating in knowledge to them that know understanding. I understand how to get myself out of depression. I pray in the Holy Ghost. I know how to regulate my mind when thoughts are coming across my mind because I cast down thoughts. He said, I cannot, if you won't work the principles, how can I give you greater revelation? You keep going around the mountain of depression, and all the Lord is saying, just cast down the thought. Cast down, for every thought that comes up that's not in line with the knowledge of God, cast it down. What you do, you play with it. Well, what about me? My mama would have, one day my mama burnt up the chicken, and my life ain't been right since. What do your mama burning up the chicken got to do with you, this biblical principle? My daddy wasn't there. So what, your daddy wasn't there? You're 30. At what point do you stand up and do something with your life? He left me. He divorced me. He divorced it me. So what? Yeah, I know it hurt. I ain't saying so what like I don't care, but I'm saying so what in the sense of what is God doing with that? Yeah. Are you forever tore down? Are you forever lost? Are you forever dysfunctional? When you don't know understanding, you understand. Build yourself up on your most holy faith. Well, he said that, who cares what he said? He said he give knowledge to them that know understanding. And he reveals what?
Well, I don't know where you are now.
22.
He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. And I thank thee and praise thee, O Lord, O thou God of my fathers. Who
You notice he ain't ran to the king yet. He got the revelation, but he is immersed in thanking him for it. Thank you. You're so good. You're so wonderful. Look at these wonderful things that you look at how you outpour. You just give it. Just because I was in alignment with my friends and I asked you for the answer. I thank thee, praise thee, O God of thy fathers who give me wisdom and has made known unto me now what we desire. Say desire.
Desire.
What we desire of thee, for thou hast made known the king's matter. So Daniel goes to him. Verse 30. Drop down to 30.
But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living.
This is Daniel saying, I recognize that I'm ordinary. What Daniel is saying is, I understand that without him, I don't have the interpretation or the understanding. What Daniel was saying was, what Daniel was doing was he was maintaining his stewardship and his relationships for revelation to mysteries. God, you got to see that. He said, the mysteries are not mine, but the relationship is. I'm steward. I'm called to steward this. How can you love God who you don't see, but you hate your brother who you do see? Daniel is saying that I have revelation unto mysteries because God revealed it, because I maintain my relationships with people. Oh, I know you never heard it before. Because people prophesy your money out your pocket and not show you that your stewardships in restoring your relationships are more important and more vital to what God is doing in the spirit than just your ability to operate in a gift. He said, but as for me, this secret was not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living. But what?
But for their sakes.
But for whose sake?
Their sakes.
For he was an advocate. Say advocate. He was an advocate on the other. Why can't I see in the spirit? Because you're not advocating for anybody. Whose cause are you supporting in the spirit? Why can't I get it? Why can't I tap in? Why ain't it working in? Because you ain't advocating for nobody. Who are you fighting for? He said, for their sake, that shall make known the interpretation of the king, that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. So Daniel receives the interpretation, shares it with the king. Let me give you 3 points. Whenever you're seeking God, your seeking should be rooted in the will of God. Say the will of God. 1 John 5:14 says this.
And this is the confidence that we have toward him.
This is the confidence. Once I find that it's his will, I am confident. If I am not confident, it is because it's not his will. Go ahead.
And this is the confidence that we have toward him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us in whatever we ask, we know we have the request that we have asked him.
As long as it's his will, we have it. Hello. You believe? I know. I got you though. Next, it has to be consistent with the power of God. Say the power of God. Daniel is able to seek God for a hard matter because he said there's nothing that is outside of God's power. The power of God is the manifestation of his ability to give an answer in areas where man has run out of knowledge. Genesis 18:14 says what?
Is anything too hard for the Lord?
That's Abraham. Abraham knocked it out the park with that one. Is anything, that's how you have to approach your situation, your crises. Is anything too hard for God? Next, you got to have the will of God, the power of God, and you have to have a desire for it. To tap into the extraordinary, to tap into the supernatural, you got to have a desire for it. The biggest attack in the life of believers is because they don't desire things right.
I agree.
Your attack in your finances is not because the devil is stronger than you. It's because you don't desire the healing in your finances the way that God says to desire it. See, when you desire a thing right, you can't go without having it.
Exactly. I'm telling you the truth. Woo.
I can't go without having it. When I desire something right. See, that's the attack is in your desire.
That's true.
Why is your marriage under attack? Why is it falling? Why you feel like it's falling apart? It's falling apart because the enemy is attacking your desire. Because anything that you desire, God will give you victory. Daniel got revelation for a dream from a king. The king didn't even know the dream. So how much more can he give you restoration in your household, in your marriage, in your past relationship, with your kids? How much more can he do it if you, oh my God, if he's showing you that Daniel desired it. Daniel had right relationships and right desire, and heaven opened up to him.
My God.
Nothing was withholding from him because he desired it. Why is your attack? What attack are you under? You under the attack of desire. This is how desire works for you. John 10:10, what does it say?
The thief cometh not, but for to kill, to steal, and to destroy. And I am come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly.
He said, I come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. What is he saying? He's saying that if you desire this abundant life that I provide, that it can be anything. But you have to desire it. 1 Corinthians 14 and 1, it say desire spiritual gifts, but rather that you may prophesy. What is he saying? He's saying that the open door to the prophetic is in your desire for it. It's not in the fact that you were born with it. It's not in the fact that somebody is withholding it from you. Right. It's your desire for it. Right. Do you desire it? Why are we under attack? Because the enemy knows that he can keep you deceived. The weight of the burden of the enemy is positioned at you not desiring for things pertaining to righteousness, life, and godliness. If you don't desire for it to grow, you'll sabotage it. But if you desire for it to grow, it'll flourish. He said, I am come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. What is it? It is whatever you desire it. Whenever you desire a thing, what God does is he steps in and he allows for you to have only the things that you desire. Why you lacking? Why your prayers not answered? Because you don't desire that your prayers be answered. You're just praying out of process. All prayers are answered when you desire an answer for your prayer. 1 Corinthians 14, look at how it comes. Follow after charity and desire what?
Spiritual gifts.
So if access to spiritual gift, if you can understand the range of that, that is every spiritual gift can be accessed by desire. Where's your desire at? Where's your desire at? Where's your desire for holiness? Why am I wrestling with this? Because I don't desire it. Look. See, God know how you are when you really want something. The greatest spiritual attack is in the area of your desire, because your adversary knows that if he can steal your will, he can rob you of the power to break his deception. All he got to do is take your desire from the marriage away. All he got to do is take your desire for your part in the body of Christ. All he got to do is take your desire for prayer. Because everything that you need is in desire. It's the gateway that allows you to access supernatural, extraordinary power. Look at this. Look at this. What is desire?
Strongly wish for or want.
Isn't that something? So I want to open the eyes of your understanding and the things that have been stolen from you. The things have not been taken from you. It's your desire for them. God is repairing desire in the hearts of his people. He's restoring desire. Because God knows that the gateway for you to get the things that he has promised and provided for you is all wrapped up in your desire. I want you to look at what have you lost. What have you lost that you know that the enemy should not have? What have you lost that you know God promised me that thing? What happens when we murmur and complain? That's the enemy working against our desire for it. Yeah. Here's another big one that fights against the spirit of desire, a spirit of offense. Yeah. Just get offended. Just stay offended. And it'll steal your desire for the thing. You don't want to have nothing. You get offended with your family. You won't want to have nothing to do with family. Get offended at your church. Get offended at me. You get offended at me, you'll be offended against everything apostolic. When it's there to help you and benefit you. Get offended at your mother and your desire. I don't want to be no mother. I don't want to have no children. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. You know why? Because the enemy has been attacking your desire. God said, if you just strongly wish for or want a thing. Let me give you this analogy. Come on, Steve. Come on, Cedric, with that fly shirt you got on. Y'all some of the fly shirt wearing dudes I've never met. Come on, Minister Wissy. Come on, help me out. This how we live. This how we live. This how we live. Where Cody at? Come on, Cody, help me out. Come on, Brandon, since you are making movements around me. Come on. Caught you in my peripheral. All right. All right. Now, everybody, we're going to play hide and go see it. So put your foot in the thing right there. Put your foot in. Put your foot in. Put your foot in. Look at the Timbo with the flap. Y'all don't know how to. You're supposed to put your foot in there where it's touching, all right? This is what we this is what we learn as a child. We learn hide and go seek. So this game teaches you to be a runner and not it. In this game, everybody's intention is not to be it. Don't nobody want to be it. So right now in the spirit, the desire in this game have already been established to not be chosen. Everybody foot in. We want to play. I want to be in church, but I don't want to be chosen. God speaking by his spirit. I defer everything to the pastor, to the minister. Prophetess is prophesying. Apostles apostatizing. But I don't want to be chosen for none of that. So the way that we play the game is like this. We put our foot in with an intent not to be used. Can you see it? So the person who doing the choosing, they definitely don't want to be chosen. So they be saying, bubble gum, N-A this. How many? But you know, they already got the numbers mapped out now. They already know, they ain't gonna get hit. Yeah, and then they say bubble gum, they say, and then if it gets to their foot, then they ask somebody, they be like, the dirty dish rag. Don't be adding the dish rag. That was you. You just got chose. Why the dirty dish rag got to be added into it? Adding the dirty dish rag into it. Man, that ain't part of the song. So here's what happened. It get down to the last two people. Cody and Brandon, take your foot out. So now these two sweating because they don't want to be chose. They hoping for some stroke of luck that they don't get chosen. So you get down to the last two, and then bubble gum, you do the whole thing. Minister Kenneth get chosen. So now, Cedric, you with the runners. He's sad, they proud. They want him. Listen, I'm telling you, this is what you've been trained, this is what you need to unlearn. Because now he feel like he missing something because he can't run. So what does he want to do? He want to hurry up and pass his itness over to a runner. He don't want to engage in what does it do? It is the empowered one. It has the power to empower somebody to be it. But he want to trade his itness over to a runner so he can be run. You be it, and I just be a runner. They're trying to find somebody fast as they can. But then you got people who are horrible hiders. So they get caught quick. Right? But what happens is this. If it had revelation, then he would hold his position and empower others to be it and not a runner. This is what we've been conditioned to. Thank you, fellas. This is what we've been conditioned to. We've been conditioned to stay in the ordinary and not engage the extraordinary. You engage it through desiring. God shows you great, mighty, dynamic things when you desire for them. Matter of fact, the reason why God has revealed them to you is for you. Listen to me closely. The reason why those things have been shown to you is to create a desire in you. Why did the healing scripture stick out? Because he just wants you to desire them. Why does power in the spirit, dynamic, supernatural power be revealed to? Why does he show it to you? Because all he wants you to do is desire it. Why is order ministered to you? He show you how things supposed to work the right way according to the will of God. Because all he wants you to do is desire.